All right. Well, hello, everybody. Hello. Good morning. I see we have a lot of people that are already joining us. And so, hey, look, as you guys come on in, do me a favor. Please introduce yourself, guys, by letting us know what city and state you are chiming in from. I'm definitely going to make sure to shout you out. Let us know again what city and state you guys are chiming in from. I'm just looking at my phone so that I can also make sure to share this thing in many different places, darling. And we're going to start a watch party too, honey. I don't know what this watch party thing is, but it's pretty cool because a lot of people watch. But welcome again. Welcome again, guys. I'm definitely going to make sure to shout you that I don't want to lead a watch party now. I don't want to lead it. Hold on. Let me see. We don't want to do that. But again, guys, make sure as you come on in, introduce yourselves. Let us know what city and state you're chiming in from. By the way, do me another favor as well. For those of you who were here with us yesterday, please leave a comment and let me know who was actually here, who joined us on yesterday. And if this is your first day, I want you to put first day. So if you joined us yesterday, let us know you joined us yesterday. If today is your first day, let us know this is your first day. Shout out to Corliss Shatoy, who won yesterday on our giveaway. Don't forget, after today's live broadcast, we're going to jump back on live in the Facebook group where we're going to do another drawing. And just in case you guys did not know, we're giving away tons of stuff. We're giving away money, $100. We're giving away autographed books. We're giving away Yeti microphones. See, I got my microphone unplugged in right now. We're giving away flat screen TVs, all types of stuff, guys, to really set you up for the new year. So make sure that you guys join us as soon as we're done. Let me shout out who we have here live. We have Regina Keenan joining us all the way from Buffalo, New York. Michael joining us from Angelo. Hello. Rebecca joining us in California. Good morning, darling. See, Rebecca's not playing. She woke up first thing in the morning and jumped on with us live. Hello. We have Alisa out of Florida. Hey, love. How you doing? We have Tisha out of Houston, Texas. Judy out of Georgia. Rachel out of Houston. We have Melanie out of St. Louis. Charmaine out of Savannah, Georgia. Valerie, Houston is on the line today. What up? You know, I'm officially a Houstonian, so I can throw that out. But anyway, we have Stephen out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. Candy of Riverdale, Georgia. Miko out of Houston, Texas. Jacqueline, Nashville, Tennessee. Constance, Shreveport, Louisiana. Chesapeake, Virginia. Here we go. I'm almost lost, y'all. Trevice, I think I said that correct, right? CC out of Ellenwood, Georgia. We have Laverne out of Chicago. Chi-Town's up here today. We have Kitten Gray. Hello. Let's see who else. Port St. Lucie is on the line. Miss Maya. Hello. Nikki out of Houston, Texas. Amanda in Atlanta, Georgia. Orange, Southburg. Vanessa. Hey, girl. Tori out of Asheville, North Carolina. We have Stephanie out of Baytown, Texas. Evelyn, Harrisburg, Virginia. We've got so many people, guys. I'm trying to get to as many of you as I can. But look, all I will tell you is this. Yesterday was lit. It was on fire. And so if you did not get a chance to see what we talked about yesterday, make sure that you go back. Each one of the days, all you simply have to do is go to day one or day two. So you're going to go to day1.newyearnewyou online to watch the replay to that. And today I'm extremely excited, y'all, because I get to bring up a good friend of mine who we've been connected to now for some years. And we're going to be talking about some good stuff. Now, this is the deal. If anybody has a question as we're doing this interview with my good friend, okay, that's what I'm talking about. Latanya says, I'm a no limit soldier. I thought I told you. Yes. I mean, she was on yesterday. We talked about no limits. So if you want to know what she talked about, make sure that you were here yesterday or go back and look at that replay. I see a lot of you guys were here yesterday. What up? Okay, good. So look, as I was saying, I'm going to bring on this guest speaker that is just doing some tremendous things. I'm extremely excited to have him here. because we have been connected now for some years, and we have some things that we're working on as well. Guys, he is the author of Understanding a Man. And I want you guys to also understand something. He is definitely living as what I like to call a certified authorpreneur. And y'all know this is somebody that is leveraging their book and building a massive, massive, massive market by utilizing the information that they put in their book. And so he travels all across the country, y'all, doing workshops and conferences. And he also coaches women predominantly, and I'm sure you got some men that you're working with too, on being able to balance out those relationships, being able to have that perfect relationship. And so I'm excited to bring guys to the stage, my brother, Hamptonian, a Hampton University graduate. Shout out to all the HBCUs in the house, Mr. Elam B. King. Elam, what's up?
What's going on? Good morning for some in Cali. Good afternoon for everybody else. What's going on?
Yes, definitely. We have people that are chiming in. I know yesterday we actually had some people that chimed in all the way from Nigeria. So we have been touching people all over the nation. Again, welcome to everybody that is joining us. We do want to get a chance to hear from y'all, but make sure if you do have a question, what I was going to say is if you have a question as we're going through this conversation, make sure to put question, comma. So let me give you an example. You're going to put question and then whatever the question is, okay? So what is your name, right? So you're going to do something like what I just, hold on, I got to highlight it. Oh, Lord, I didn't mean to do that. Let me do it like this. Question, what is, so we can find you, if that makes sense, right? So you want to put something like that, question, what is your name? Okay, question, what is your name, or whatever the question is that you have for Elam. So first of all, what I do want to talk to you about first, before we get into digging down deep into balance and relationships, because many of the people that are watching us today are entrepreneurs. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, I want you to type business owner. And if you are a corporate climber, that means you are in corporate and you want to climb that ladder of success, I want you to type corporate climber. And if you don't fit those two, but you are a dreamer, that's why you're here right now. You're trying to figure out where you're going to go. I want you to type dreamer. So then we can get a chance to understand who's actually here with us. But Elam, you wrote a book called Understanding a Man. And I know this is also a collaboration book. Shout out to all of our collaborators with Show Your Success. You know, I love collaboration projects. But what made you decide, with being a man that comes from, a very successful, career in corporate, also a successful entrepreneur, you decided to write a book that was kind of a little bit off to the left, but it has actually opened up some tremendous doors for you. So tell us, what was the concept and the idea behind your book?
I would start off by saying originally, because of a lot of the things that I just want to take it from a news perspective, right? We had a lot of things that were kind of going on in the news and different things inside of our communities. And what was also noticed is that from a demographic perspective, that women, and particularly women of color, were the highest educated genre, period. But one of the things that I was noticing a lot of is that we have a lot of people who are, I guess I would say, successful from a corporate perspective, but inside of our homes, inside of our relationships, inside of our communities, there's just a break that exists there. And so considering that, you have divorce rate that's running at 50% inside of the US, inside of the minority community, it's at 70%, right? And so a lot of us, what we're not doing is, we're quick to go to school and do what has to be done from a curriculum perspective, and on our jobs, we'll do what needs to be done to move up the course of the ladder there. But inside of our relationships, we're lacking from an education perspective. And so the first reason why, from a book that I wrote it, is because we have some women who might not have had a father figure that was in their life. So there are a lot of things from the way that men think that sometimes women just don't know of. So I wanted to share that information. We also have those that might have had a father figure in their life. We're just really kind of accenting some of the things that daddy kind of told you and kind of adding some extra pieces in there as well. And then for those men, and I noticed particularly because when I first got married, it was some things I was going through and I was just like, wait a minute, I don't know, where's this coming from? And so it kind of validates some of the thoughts that we as men have because we become a little bit isolated and don't express ourselves. So that's, three of the major reasons why that it was written.
Awesome. And look, I don't know anybody out here if you can totally relate to exactly what he was talking about, but I am one of those, Black women or women of color who has found herself at the young, beautiful age of 37 years old, and I'm not married. And, I know the statistics, like you were saying, I know the numbers are extremely high within the women of color community. And you and I, we've sat on the phone for hours just talking about the challenges within our community itself when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriages, when it comes to even friendships. Yeah. And I appreciate you for doing that. And I appreciate you for really opening up a place for us to have these candid conversations. Okay, so the first question I want to ask you, because we're going to talk a lot, y'all, and make sure if you have any questions, make sure that you guys type in question and we'll try to get those questions answered. By the way, I see you guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I see you, Angela, talking about good, great morning. Yes, that's cute. I'm going to put that on the screen. Look, that's super cute, right? But yeah, Elam, first question I want to ask you, because as you can see, we have a lot of business owners. We have dreamers. Let me just let y'all see how many like what you guys were responding. We have a lot of business. We have business owners, dreamers, we have writers, we have corporate climbers. By the way, look, let me tell y'all something, and I'm just going to say this because I want everybody to understand. For those of you who are entrepreneurs and you are corporate climbers, that is also a blessing. Okay, we're going to go into the new year knowing that if you have a job, what did I call it yesterday? What did I call it, y'all? Somebody put that quote up there because I forgot. But I know that what I want you to know is that is a huge opportunity. There's people right now who wish they could climb that corporate ladder. And guess what? During this New Year, New You conference, we do have a young lady who's going to be talking to you guys about being able to climb that corporate ladder and get to that 6-figure salary. So I just want everybody to know, like, don't feel bad. If you want to grow in that place, do it. Because we are in the age of entrepreneurship, and a lot of people like to tear down people, if you want to have a corporate job. So I just had to say that. But look, as you can see, Elam, we have tons and tons of business owners. We have corporate climbers. We have dreamers. And so I want to talk to you about balance, especially because I know we probably have a lot of women that are joining us. And as a woman, I feel like sometimes I feel personally that, when it comes to the relationships and it comes to the marriages, I feel like it's just so much that's put upon us and so much expectation. I don't know. But when dating, I do have a question in regards to dating someone new and growing those businesses. How can you prepare your business / purpose for marriage? How can you combine that and prepare yourself to be married? Because, honey, I need to get a ring. Okay.
Oh, man. And first of all, that's an excellent question. It's actually something that we talk about in chapter 14 of the book, Understanding a Man, is what to do while you wait. And I want to start off by saying that this is probably one of the greatest positions to be in, because you're in a situation where you have an opportunity of creating what the future can look like. And so when we're in that dating phase, I think that you want to make sure, first and foremost, that you're finding yourself and what your purpose is. Hands down, that is very, very, very important, because before somebody else can come along and love you, before that you can see whether you can fit your square peg in the round hole over here, we want to make sure that you know what direction that you're going in. And this is an opportunity for you to basically, people say they want to find themselves. This is an opportunity for you really to do that, because based upon whatever business that you're doing, you want to make sure that you're establishing, whether it's time and energy, resources that are necessary so that you know the baseline of what's necessary for your business. And after you do that, okay, that will allow you to balance that with somebody else, to whereas you begin to date somebody else and you're able to sit back and see whether or not the direction that you're going in, whether it's the time frame again, whether or not it's the amount of money that's necessary for, or what have you. You can give the other person an opportunity of slowly taking a look inside of your world, and then they can see whether they want to sign up for you or not, and vice versa. And I think that that's very important, because maybe you want to sign up with them, but perhaps they don't want to sign up with you. And you want to give that person an opportunity of doing that, because they need to know whether or not that what you're doing is something that's going to be congruent with what they need. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It definitely does.
And there are so many people, a lot of clients that I speak with, and then just couples as well, to whereas when they move over into the married category, let's just say, and I will raise my hand and I'll say I'm one of the lucky ones. Even though I was, quite successful from I guess from a career perspective coming out of Hampton University, it wasn't until maybe about early to mid 30s before I said to myself, wait a minute, I don't like what I'm doing. And I switched up. And the switch that I did, fortunately, I was able to do that, and my wife was able to come along with that. But please understand that we have situations where, you get, whether you can call it a midlife crisis, you can call it the Holy Spirit speaking to you, you can say you had a dream, whatever it is. But when you start going down that path, then there becomes a little difficulty from your mate, because they're saying to themselves, I didn't sign up for this. So I want to encourage those of you who are dating right now, even if you have no idea what you want to do right now, let's get that baseline down first, because that allows you to create the balance that's needed down the road. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely, Elam. That's really good. In fact, I even want to add, I want to ask you a question, because as you were stating that, this goes back into a conversation I think you and I had one time, where I was talking to a young lady who, this was when I was in network marketing, and I had, built a pretty successful network marketing organization, and we had earned over $100,000+. And I remember having a conversation with her, whoop, whoop, and telling me that she did not want to hit a certain level of success in the business because she was trying to get married. It was kind of disrespectful to me because I had hit that level. And I think a lot of times, sometimes as women, we feel like it's hard to have that balance, to have that man of your dreams, or, even, well, I won't say for men, it's a different situation, but to have that man of your dreams and also be successful. What do you say to the woman who is kind of dumbing herself down? And that's the best way I can say it, dumbing down her greatness. Yesterday we talked about nominating yourself and saying that you are great and you are worthy and you deserve all things. What do you say to the woman who does feel like she needs to maybe slow down in business in order to be able to be married and to find that perfect match?
I'm going to have to say that that you're going to have to pick a struggle. Okay. And the reason why I want to start off by saying that is because it's not only we were taught a lot of things backwards. Right. And so I say that to say that some of us think that we're on this earth to be married, and that's our purpose. And it's not. Your purpose is not to just be married. Your purpose is not to have children. You were giving a talent. There were 300 million little yous jumped into the ocean. They always say it's the same distance as swimming 40 miles in the ocean is when you were released from your father. Okay, let's have a grown conversation for a moment, right? And so in doing that, God, you were the one that made it. So you started off winning, okay? Because you had direction, you had vision, you had purpose. And so for you to stop that and say, no, this is what I want to do from a relationship perspective, you can do that. But in my opinion, what that might be doing is setting you up for failure just for what I just talked about earlier, right? So you want to stop, not do the career, and find somebody or be found. It's really what should be happening, right? And when that happens, then you guys holy matrimony, get married and all this and that, and then you want to pick back up your vision and direction. And again, that person is saying, wait a minute, you want to, I thought you wanted to be, be a VP somewhere. Wait a minute, what, you want to be a teacher now? Where'd that come from? You want to sign up for whatever whatever plight that you were going in, and then you turn around, and then you're going to turn around and look at that person and expect them to come on board with you and continue forward? No. And let me tell you another reason why that's difficult. What happens on average is that when women hit their 40s, okay, you'll start hearing the statement of, I'm not happy, okay? And they're basically saying that the other person is not making them happy. And I want to share this last piece with you, okay? It is not your boyfriend, and it will never be your spouse's responsibility to make you happy. That's your responsibility, okay? It's your responsibility. It's their responsibility to complement the happy that you've already built inside of yourself. Where that happy is going to come from is you walking in your purpose. As you walk in your purpose, you won't be making statements like, I'm tired. You'll just need rest because the body needs rest, right? But you won't always talk about I'm tired, right? And you won't have things that are outside when we're running that rat race a lot of times. And don't get me wrong, because there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, but whatever that purpose whatever that you're doing out there, if it's not your purpose, it's going to bleed into your relationship. Okay. There are people who Monday or Sunday night, they have difficulty with inside of their bodies. Okay. They have difficulty with headaches, all this and that. You don't think that when you have a headache and your mate comes along and wants to spend time with you, now you're not available because you got a headache because of what you got to do out there? No. Let's focus on our goal and what we need to do from a career purpose perspective first. Okay. And then that's how, ladies, that's how you will be found, because you will have studied to show yourself approved first. And then that's how you're found. Does that make sense?
Oh my goodness. Look, I don't know about y'all, but who over here got chills? If you over here have chills just listening to what he's saying, and this is confirmation for any of my women out there, whether you are single or married, this is confirmation. I want you to type confirmation, because I'm just getting chills listening to him, and it makes me feel good. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's one thing, and Elam, I know I told you this, I said, I'm not going to stop doing what I want to do or doing what I know I've been called to do so that I can have a title. And I think a lot of times, especially with social media, it's so easy to get caught up in these titles and wanting to be able to say that for the sake of looking good. But let's do some real talk, right? Let's do some real talk as well, because I know that a lot of times as well, I hear women say stuff like, or I've heard, some people say things, or, that famous quote, "You complete me. You complete me." And I believe that that's probably another challenge within our community, is we're always looking for someone to complete us versus we come completed. And I know that's something that you talk about as well, Elam. So let's evaluate, but let's really expand or expound upon the completeness of a person when they're getting into a relationship with someone else.
Yeah. I want to say that's one of the narratives that exist out there, almost like, when people say money is the root of all evil, and it's not, it's the love of money, right? So we have little narratives, little statements that we pass along the way. And so when people say, I fell in love and got married, why are you falling in love? If you're dating with intention, you won't fall in love. You'll allow yourself to love. You see what I'm saying? So it's little friend, you complete me. No. You complete yourself first, okay? And here's the thing. I dare you to try this. I dare you to go and make yourself happy first, okay? And try to complete yourself. And when we're talking about complete, bottom lines, we're talking about purpose, okay? And whether your purpose is, for example, my wife, she's a school teacher. That's what she feels like she wants to do. My mother was a school teacher. My grandmother's a school teacher. My brother was a school teacher. I have a lot of respect for teachers, but guess who can never be a teacher? Okay? Me. Can't do it. Not in my cards, right? And so that's what makes her feel complete. So here I come along and I compliment that. Okay. So stop worrying about somebody else completing you, and complete yourself first. And then when you do that, right, you will be sent the person that is being actually built and made for you right now. That's maybe right now that some of us aren't with somebody. And then you know what? We have to understand that we have to know that. And I want you guys to roll with me for a second. Okay. And we're looking at God's purpose. Okay. Perhaps in God's plan, a relationship and or marriage might not be in his plan. Okay. I know it's in your plan. Okay, but when we make decisions, God always laughs, right? And this really can go for anybody who might be outside of a believer. But I want you to understand that it's very important, and the level of love that you begin to have for yourself when you're walking in your purpose, because this bleeds over into love. Because here's the thing: you haven't maximized how to love yourself, but you want somebody else to love you. How are they gonna complete you? You don't even know how to love yourself. And as you're walking in your purpose, guess what? You're maximizing the love within yourself. And then if anything, it gives the other person an opportunity of matching that love. Imagine if somebody loved you just as much, if not more, than the way you love yourself. Imagine how much stronger your relationship will be. So I just want to caution those of you who might think that you want to be completed. I want to challenge you by saying that, you know what, let's try to maximize it, because maybe you're even walking inside of your purpose. Maybe there's additional pieces that need to exist there, okay? Other levels that we need to go to. So let's focus on that ourselves first before we're looking for somebody else to complete us. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And you got a lot of people over here, Elam, I mean, on fire. Let me see. Miss Maya says the wait is for you to work on completing you, loving you, and knowing you, healing. Hold on, Stephanie. Stephanie said, hallelujah. Powerful, Mr. King. I'm sure that's how she said it, so I had to say it in the way she said it. Who else? Let me see what y'all saying. I'm complete in Christ by no man. Trevi said that's how it should be. I know that's right. Tiffany says you're teaching really good stuff, Mr. King. Yeah, a lot of people, guys, we are definitely plugging in. He is lit. By the way, if you're just joining us again, we are speaking with Elam King. He is the author of Understanding a Man, also speaker and relationship coach, y'all. He is helping a lot of us get them rings on our fingers or reestablishing the rings that are already on our fingers. By the way, let me just see, who am I talking to? If you are single, go ahead and let us know if you're single. All of my single, beautiful, amazing ladies and men. And if you are married, put married and for how long. Now, Elam, please let everybody know how, because you don't look old enough to be married years. But Elam, how long have you been married? And also, what has the transition been like from, going from being a corporate man to now entrepreneur? How have you been able to balance out your relationship with your marriage?
Okay, so I've been married for 15 years. All right, blended family of 7 as well, from 24 to 11. I'll be forgetting sometimes. Too many people. But I share that with everybody. The reason why I share it, because that's important. There's a balance when you're asking about that balance. There's a balance that exists with not only just being, whether it's corporate out there, but it's also there's husband and then there's father. And so there is a balance that exists there. So I would say that for me, there was more of a reestablishment, more of a renewing of my purpose, because just to be transparent with you guys again, it wasn't until maybe about 8 years ago before I felt like a calling basically came upon me. And as that happened, one of the things, and I want to encourage those of you who might be in that situation, whereas maybe you were doing one thing and you're transitioning to something else. First and foremost, if the people have no vision, they will perish. See, we hear these phrases all the time, but we have to understand where they really apply. And if you don't have a vision of where you want to go, not only will you perish, but everybody that comes along with you, they're going to too. And perishing happens in multiple different ways. And the number 3 reason for divorce is communication. Number 1 is infidelity. Number 2 is finances. And number 3 is communication. And a lot of times when we are, if you are in a committed relationship or married, we want to make sure that we are letting our spouse know. And that's what I had to do. I had to let her know, this is the direction that I want to go in. Okay. And this is where I want to go. And then not only that, then at that point, we're establishing the logistics. See, here's the thing. You have to run your marriage just like you run your business. Okay. You have to do it. So you have to have meetings. There are many times, if a business is going in, I'm saying, if a business is going in one direction and they're not making revenue or they're not doing what they need to do, it's wise for them to shift, right? Okay, when they shift, they have conference calls. There's some emails that go out. There's another conference call. There's another meeting. There's a meeting after the meeting. Why? Because they're establishing something so that everybody who's involved knows what direction that they're going to go in, and then also knows what role they're going to play, right? So that was one of the things I also had to do during that transition. I'm just saying, hey, look, now fortunately for her, I was like, hey, look, I'm going to run out here. I'm going to run, baby. I just need you to hold down the fort. When I might be out of town, when I might have to do this, hey, just know that when that happens, I need you, right? And that gives her the opportunity, right? And like Corinne just said, get some order. Exactly. You got to get some order in your household. Okay? Because if your household is not running correctly and clicking on the cylinders, your business is going to suffer. Okay. Your time management is going to suffer. Your mind is going to suffer. And if your mind suffers, there goes your creativity. There goes the next level within your business. So again, just like, out there in corporate, when they put y'all in certain steps, when they're making transitions and changes, because you're a part of the team, right? Where your husband or your wife and your kids, they're a part of your team. And guess what? They need to know what their support role is, right? Because here you are, you're thinking, okay, Michelle's my wife's name, right? If I didn't create that vision for her, right? And I would go out of town and she's like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, well, You're not gonna step up and help me out in a minute. And she would be like, no, I don't know see what I'm saying? You can't leave people out there in la la land. Here go a mess, here go an argument, here goes resentment, here goes contentment, here goes people with this buildup, and then later on it just pops out, and it's ugly if it pops out later on. Okay, so I hope I answer your question. There's a couple other pieces that I have in there, but I want to make sure that you have to understand that that in that transition that you are establishing roles and responsibilities for not only you and the other person. Here is something else that we have to learn. There has to be a give and take, and whereas that if you are asking, if you are the business person, if you are the entrepreneur trying to go down a certain route, and you're asking for your mate, your spouse, for their support, wherever that it might be, you have to also establish the fact that when they do that, based upon because they're giving up for your dream, right? For your purpose, what are you going to give back to them? Okay, maybe it's a trip, maybe it's a pair of shoes, maybe it's I have to spend money on my wife so that she stays even keel with the foolishness that I might have to pop off. Because come on, let's be real. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're running a business, there's some foolishness that pops off, and sometimes you need that person. So when they can think, oh well, we got this trip coming up in June, okay, it just makes things a little bit smoother. Does that make sense? So there has to be some give and take there. What are you going to do for the for the role or the responsibility of what you're asking the other person to come forward and support you with?
Man, that was some good stuff. Hey, I also have something that just popped up, because I know, again, y'all don't understand. Elam is like on the low. He's like my relationship mentor. I can call him and talk to him about stuff and tell him about, let me tell you what this dude did. And one of the conversations we had just recently, we were talking about love languages. And I saw Miss Maya had put this and said, I want to make sure he knows my love language and I know his. Let's talk a little bit about that, because even though we're talking business here, but I think that's a big challenge as well. We expect other people to know how to treat us. Mm-hmm. And you also talked about being able to have those conversations and communication. I think this is really powerful. And even when it comes to your business, building your business, they need to still understand what your love languages are so that you can have that balance. So let's get into it, because I know you talk a lot about love languages.
And just to reiterate, just in case if anybody just joined earlier, I want to. This is actually a very serious topic when we're talking about communication, you guys. All right, because I like to say this: everybody is grown until it's time to communicate. Okay, and we have to understand again that infidelity is number one inside of the reason why the divorce is at 50% inside of the U.S. Infidelity is number one. Finances is number two. So those people who say it's not about the money, they lie. Okay. And number three is communication. All right. And so when we're looking at communication, we have to understand, we talked about a little bit earlier, that in order to maximize communication, you have to understand who you are and what your direction is and what your purpose is. Right. And so in knowing that, right, and studying to show yourself improved and doing your own level of personal development, well, if your love language is let's just say, okay, raise his hand. Words of affirmation. Shout out to all the words of affirmation people. That's me, all right? Got a super heads up a little bit. Great job, baby. Good job. Oh, you look great. Yes, that's us, all right? Now, if you know that you're, so my wife knows that I'm a words of affirmation I'm a person, right? So here's how things begin to intertwine, right? So when I do something, when I have an event, here comes her words of affirmation, right? What is that going to do? It's going to make me feel love. It's going to give me the fuel that I need to keep going, because you want to be that person's fuel. You don't want somebody else to kick in that words of affirmation, okay? Because, cheating is never a problem. Cheating is a symptom of the problem, okay? And so if somebody doesn't understand that their role is to do words of affirmation and communicate correctly, that's how little problems start sleeping in. So, or maybe it's quality time. Maybe your expectation is for your spouse to be kind of chilling with you while you're over here being creative from a quality time perspective. That gives love. Please understand that when you're feeling love from your spouse, from your significant other, it helps your creativity. Okay, it helps you to be it kind of takes away some of the noise and the drama, the dogma that can prevent you and stifle us from moving ourselves forward. So, I think the biggest portion of this, Taria, is people understanding that in order for you to be communicated with, you have to learn to communicate and maximize the communication within yourself. And in order to do that, you have to know how you can be loved. How you want somebody else to love you and you don't even know how you can be loved? But you just want to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not it. Come on, we got to get rid of it. We getting grown, y'all.
There we go. I love it. Hey, look, we got some questions that are pouring in too. Denise, I'm gonna get to your question, but first I also want to ask you one thing, because we have a lot of women that are joining us today. And as you can see, many of them are married, and many of them are single. You know, many of us are going into the new year. We have new visions. It's new year, new you. We have a lot of things that we're going to have on our plate. And some of it may require that we do business with a person of the opposite sex. How do you handle these situations, and what do you recommend to other women? Because I know one of the biggest challenges a lot of my ladies come to me with is, Taria, how do you deal with men of the opposite sex when doing business?
Well, I would. Well, I'm going to put this in two
phases. That's the same thing. You know what I meant.
Yeah, I'm going to put this in two phases, right? I'm going to put this in the single phase, the unmarried phase, and I'm going to put that in the marriage phase, right? And so, and the reason why I want to caution some of my unmarried people is because right now maybe you're dating somebody, right? And you might be walking inside of a certain domain, certain purpose or whatever, and you're already seeing signs, all right, of insecurity, right? Of just some foolishness coming from your significant other, right? And what we have a tendency to do sometimes is that we're not paying attention when we start seeing the bleeding, okay? And so I want to encourage you right now that for those of you who are unmarried, this is the best time now for you to establish and or reestablish how is this really supposed to look from us, because bottom line is there's some level of insecurity that can exist there. And so you want to, I mean, let's start off by just asking the other person, you know, what do they feel? See, sometimes it's really basic stuff that we miss because we think that it's something huge. Let's start off by asking, how do you feel? Okay. Let's just say for, if you're inside of the coaching space, well, obviously if you're coaching relationships or whatever case it be, you can imagine how many different people from an opposite sex that I come across, right? And in doing that, and we can now transition over into the married piece, I ask her, well, how do you feel about this? Okay. And then after getting that level of security back from her that she's okay with it, then I do feel like it is my responsibility to create some type of ongoing maintenance that exists there, whether it is that something simple as a lot of times inviting them into this space, right? Whatever that you're doing, if I'm having an event, Elam King gets an invite, okay, first, all right? If I'm even if I'm having conversations or whatever case it be, I make sure that if she wants to be a part of that world, whether it's doing some scheduling, whatever, sometimes it might be something minute of that person having a part of your business makes them feel a little bit more secure. Does that make sense? I want to throw this out, particularly for those of you who are married, and I want to encourage you with this. This is the reason why that ongoing coaching and counseling services are so important, because it's going to identify, because maybe you just don't know that the other person has an issue with your current purpose that you have, right? Or maybe they might feel a little insecure, or maybe there might be some psychological pieces that they're working on within themselves that have nothing to do with you, right? But it's going to spill over into your relationship. So that's why that ongoing counseling is so important. If not at least once a month, once every other month. If you are married, I want to encourage you no less than once a quarter, and you should be having some type of counseling session so that these things can come out, right? So just to kind of recap, number one, let's just make sure that when those of you who are unmarried, make sure that you are identifying whether or not the person can handle the purpose that you're walking inside of, right? Because once you establish that, boom, you're good to go. If you think that person is going to change later on down the road, let me tell you right now, 9 times out of 10, they're not. Okay, so if you see signs right now, there's smoke right now, stop it, fix it, work on it right now, and quite frankly, maybe there might need to be a breakup that exists, because nothing should stop you from walking in your purpose. You should not just go get married and say, oh, I wanted to save my marriage, so I ended my business. I wouldn't do that, because now you got issues going on within yourself, and that's, if you poke a hole in the cup, the water's going to run out somewhere else. So if you're shutting down your relationship, if you're shutting down your business to save your relationship, I just want to put a lot of caution there, all right? And so again, for those of you who are married, a lot of times it takes a lot of reinforcement and make sure that there's a respect level that exists there, right? Ladies particularly, because men want respect, women want love, right? So there's a respect level that you want to make sure that you're speaking of and making sure that that other person is okay with what you're walking in, right? And then again, we're going to have some ongoing maintenance that we're going to have to make sure that we can pull out any issues that exist so that we can talk through them. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, look, man, you're giving us so much information. And I know many of you guys want to get a chance to speak with Elam on a one-on-one basis and maybe get some additional help and insight. What we're going to do is we have a little bit of time for maybe one or two more questions. We do have Tanise who says, how do you as an entrepreneur, with an entrepreneur with a mate, understanding is how do you get them balance family time? I guess we could say as your entrepreneur, your mate is the entrepreneur, and how do you get your mate to bring in balance? And so getting that opposite person that you're with, I believe that's what Tanise is asking. How do you get that balance of family time from them?
I would say two ways. The first way is that when's the last time that we sat down and actually had a conversation? Again, communication, right? We're back to the communication. We want to sit down and I want to encourage, I think it was Tanise, I want to encourage her as well. Even if you have done this before, I would sit down with myself first and write out, how I want things to look, right? Okay, write the vision out first, right? Write it down, right? So that when you go to have the conversation, you're not tripping up all over your words. So that's very important. And then find a time when that person is available to sit down and have the conversation and express your concerns, okay, of how things are looking, whether there's more time that person might need to be with the kids or whatever. I mean, like I said, blended family of 7. So I understand what time management looks like, right? And that's before being a husband on top of that, right? So you want to sit down and have the conversation with the person of how you want things to look and get a collaboration, because what you wrote down, you might not get that exactly back, but there has to be a collaboration that's going to exist there between what they're going to say and what you're looking for as well. If that doesn't work, again, I want to shift this to something as simple as ongoing counseling, okay? I would at least sit down and have about 3 to 4 sessions, whether it's with myself or whether it's with somebody else, even if it's with a mentor, and so that there can be a neutral party, because some of these conversations are very sensitive. Matters of the heart are very sensitive. And a lot of times we might walk into it wanting to say one thing, but then we get all flustered and emotional and all this and that. And that's the reason why you would need a neutral party to be able to sit there and listen to both sides and help you guys meet in a common ground. So I would say first, sit down, write down what you want, and then try to have that conversation during a time that you're available and that person's available as well. And then after that, if that does not work, right? And there's follow-up in there, and if that does not work, then maybe we need to seek some professional guidance to get us there. Because a lot of times, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot use the same brain that got you into your situation to get you out of it. All right. So if you're in the moment, if right now you guys are having turmoil and that person is off running, doing their thing, happy, just doing whatever, and then you're over here like, wait a minute, where's my time? Why you won't do this? Why you won't do that? You're in the situation. So you might need to use a different brain, whether that's my brain to speak with both of you, whether it's some reading that we need to do, whether it's the Holy Spirit downloading something to you, or you have to be willing to come outside of that, right? And that starts with you with just creating which path that you want to go with. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We have another question from Latanya Jackson, and she says, how do you overcome personal communication issues that impact business relationships?
How do you overcome personal communication issues? Tell me with that. I'm trying to make sure I understand.
I'm not sure. Yeah, so you might take a sip of coffee. Hold up.
Well, you know what? Okay, go ahead. I think I know where they're going, but what?
Go a little bit deep into what she means by that, but go ahead and answer what you think it is, and we'll see if she adds some.
If you're saying, so let's just say you're saying your personal communication issue. So maybe you as an individual, your interpersonal communication is weak, right? Or you have difficulty from a leadership perspective, because everybody who has a business is not a leader. Okay. And a lot of those pieces you have to learn, right? Whether it's attending workshops, whether it's seminars, whether it's being on all 15 days of the New Year, New You, so that you can establish ways of becoming a better leader. Hello. Okay, so if you have issues right now from a leadership perspective, you need to be on for the next 14 days, right? And so I would say that, first of all, recognizing, LaTanya, recognizing what that personal communication issue is, and then attacking it. Okay, if you're having communication challenges, well, then maybe we need to start looking at better ways of how to communicate, right? 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, right? It talks of 21 different ways that you can become a better leader, right? Of how you can communicate, how you can understand inner circle, the law of respect, the law of influence. These are different pieces that are necessary so that your business won't be impacted, right? Let's say that maybe it is time, right? Okay, if you have your own personal communication issue because maybe your time is off, well, maybe we might need to start using Google Calendar a little bit more, right? Or Microsoft, any calendar or whatever, right? So that we can establish times. Please believe me, there's so much stuff going on during the day for Elam. So I put like tasks and little notes like need to call mom. Okay, because I don't call too often because I'll be off in my own world and I'll look up and be like, oh, it's been 2 weeks since I called my parents. You see what I'm saying? So I know that, so I put little reminders along the way so that I can, keep my personal in line, because if the personal gets out of whack, like we were just talking about before, if your personal gets out of whack, it's going to bleed over into your business. Okay, so hopefully, I don't know, Taria, what did you gather from the personal communication issue? Hope I hit that.
I think that was a good answer. Most definitely. She didn't add anything else to it, so I think that probably. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, I think that was definitely a good response. I have one other question before we get ready to wrap this up. Okay. Thank you for Joya. What if your mate does not want to go to counseling?
Okay. I would say let's just first talk with my unmarried people. Okay. If your mate does not want to go to counseling, all right, or seek any type of guidance or whatever case it be, you need to run. Okay. And let me tell you the reason why that you need to run. All right. Because it's no differently than, this is particularly for my believers, one of the reasons why that there is a difficulty. And ladies, I'm going to speak towards you because a lot of times, even with the clients that I have, the woman is the first one to reach out. Okay. And the reason why, because men do struggle inside of communication, which is one of the reasons why that I wrote Understanding a Man, because I wanted to give women an understanding of how we think, because we don't talk, right? So again, to what we were saying earlier, you have to talk in order to communicate, right? And no differently than following the Bible, right? You have to submit to something, right? And if that man is not willing to submit to leadership from other people, how can he expect you to submit to him? Come on. You see what I'm saying? So that's why in the unmarried status, while it's free, run, okay? Your blessing is still out there, all right? It might not be that person, all right? Don't try to make them that person, because we have to have ongoing guidance from somebody else, right? Now, for those of you who are married, you are in the situation, whereas from a decision perspective, you have to, I guess the best way to put this is that continue to try, all right? And I would say that one of the first pieces, let me give you a little tip, ladies. One of the things that I have noticed is that if you present, hey, we need to go to counseling, okay? And he says no, you start off going. Okay? Become the change that you're looking for, right? Because if you start walking and from a counseling perspective, bettering yourself from a wife perspective, which, hopefully will bleed over into your business as well, or whatever case it be, that the guy's paying attention. Okay. And what I normally notice, right, is that about the third or fourth session, he'd be like, yeah, who's this Elam guy? And all of a sudden he's just like, okay, because see, you coming home with good stuff, right? You're going and getting the counseling and you're coming home and you're implementing it. So that person's seeing it. And one thing I always want to share with people, all right? Be careful how you live your life, all right? Because you might be the only Bible that they ever read. All right. So think about that for a moment, right? Who you are and how you conduct yourself on a daily basis, the other person is watching you. And the story that you're playing out, they're looking at it. And then maybe down the road, they're able to say to themselves, well, hey, you know what? I didn't want to go to counseling with Taria, but it seems as if is that she's advancing. She's growing. right? And if I'm that type of guy that, you know, I'm not a lazy bum and I'm trying to get up and shake and move, I don't want her to out be great than me. Right? No, I totally just came up with that, but I don't want to look. I don't want her to get to 10. I need to at least be at 9. I don't need to be at 3, right? So all of a sudden, I'm gonna be like, "Can you book us for the?" Even if I book for myself, right? Because I'm like, you ain't gonna go be great and leave me behind, right? So, ladies, create that level of competition. That I won't use the word competition. Create that fire within that man by you going and going to the counseling person. I want to challenge the men with that as well, because I have had situations where the men have reached out and the lady didn't want to do it. You start. Go be great. And when you look over your shoulder, that person's gonna be like, "What you doing over there?" And all of a sudden, y'all gonna be sitting up in the counseling together. All right. That one was for free.
That's what I'm talking about. That's good. That's so good. Hey, look, I know a lot of people want to know how to be able to connect with Elam. I'm going to put the link on the screen, but Elam, tell everybody what it is that you're offering to everyone who is listening in for New Year, New You.
Absolutely. And so what I want to do is I want to give you guys an opportunity for those of you who do qualify, right? One of the things that we do from a coaching perspective is that for those of you who might have concerns out there of the balance of your relationship and your business, or those of you who might even want to take certain steps forward, whether it's that pre-marriage counseling, right? For my unmarried people, pre-marriage counseling, and in there you need to talk about your business and what direction you're gonna go and get that out now. Let's iron all that out now. Okay, sorry. All right, but you know, with a certain counseling service that you're looking for, there's actually a link, and hopefully, Tari, you can put that or send that out to them. And so those of you that can click on that, right? And there's just about 3 or 4 questions that are, you know, quick questions to answer, and then we'll be reaching out to you in the next 24 to 48 hours. For those of you who qualify for a free 15-minute session, all right, coaching session, relationship coaching session. So for all of you, there's what, 500, 600, oh Lord, who, if you qualify, you will have a free 15-minute session.
Awesome. Yeah, the link, y'all, again, it's UAM, standing for Understanding a Man. New Year, New You online. UAM.newyearnewyouonline.com. That's where you can go submit your information today. Elam has given me so many nuggets, y'all, over the past. How long has Understanding a Man been out?
Black Friday. Actually, it was released Black Friday of 2017. Hold on, 2017. It was when it was released.
Super dope. Like, soon as we came out with that book, we started to have a shift in conversations, and he's helped me tremendously, and even helped me to be, you know, confident within myself, knowing that the steps that I'm walking and the journey that God has taken me on at 37 years of age is definitely in the right direction. And so for everybody that has been listening in, I know we've gotten so many great responses from people that are just appreciating the nuggets and the knowledge that you gave, Elam. We appreciate you. Make sure you go to uam.newyearnewyouonline.com. Get it done. Schedule it before the end of New Year, New You, so that you can get a chance to pre-qualify yourself to be able to speak with him on the line. Elam, are there any last important words you would like for our ladies and our gents that are a part of the New Year, New You 2019 virtual conference?
Well, first of all, I want to take a moment and thank you so much, Tari, for just creating this venue. The virtual conference, I think, is huge. People in the quietness of their own homes, or on their phones, or in the car, or wherever people are listening to, have an opportunity, a platform to be able to come and to listen. I think that this epitomizes exactly what we need to be doing from a long-term perspective from here as we walk away from our computers, is that keep yourself open, keep your mind open, and be willing to be coached, be willing to be counseled, and just know that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. Because the way that our God designed us is that we have to work together in order to get to where we need to get to. And so somebody else out, the root word of the word angel comes from the word angelos, okay, which means messenger. Your messages come from people here on earth. Okay, in order for you to get those messages, you got to be on virtual conferences. You have to be willing to keep your mind open. You have to be willing to plug in so that you can advance to the level that you're looking to get to. So I just want to encourage everybody to stay where you are right now with keeping your mind open. And if there's anything that I can do to help anybody, let me know.
Appreciate you so much. Yeah, Elam, make sure, and he's also in the Facebook group as well. So if you need to connect with him there, you could do that. Also, don't forget, I was showing his Instagram. His Instagram is Elam King, his name. Make sure you do go follow him. He's always giving some great tips. Oh, you know what? I got to do one more thing before we get ready to let you go, because there's something that you do all the time, and I love it. And by the way, if you ever have a question that you want to post and see what other people got to say, he does this incredible thing that I love. Before we do that, I do want to let everybody know there's two things. Number one, don't forget, as soon as we're done, we're going to jump off of here and jump right back into the Facebook group. Okay. We're going to do a live broadcast in the group. We're going to be doing another giveaway. Okay. We're going to be doing another giveaway today. Also, today is at the recording of this is January the 2nd. It is Wednesday. This is what I'm going to do. We have a luncheon that's coming up here in Houston, Texas, which is also a part of New Year, New You. It's the first physical New Year, New You event that we're doing. It's kind of my way to introduce myself to people here in Houston. I haven't done a whole lot of events here, just small workshops, but I want to welcome and invite you guys to join us for the New Year, New You lunch. It's going to be also some additional influencers, business owners, leaders, and the luncheon. Basically, guys, we're going to be giving away so many different gifts and prizes as well. What I want to do is for anybody, even if you've already purchased your ticket, okay? So if you already purchased your ticket, you qualify. But for everybody who purchases a ticket between now and Friday, so I'm going to give y'all till payday, okay? By the end of Friday, 11:59 p.m., and that's Eastern time. Well, I'll do Central time since we're in Houston. So anybody that buys their ticket between now and Friday, the early bird ticket, you'll actually be able to do a buy one, get one. I'm not doing this event to make any money. In fact, all the money that the profits we make will go right back towards the prizes and giveaways. Everybody who registers to come to the luncheon will get a free autographed copy of my book, as well as additional giveaways and goodies. And we're giving away stuff like microphones. We're giving away jewelry. We're giving away t-shirts.
Oh, wow.
We're giving away all types of, it's going to be dope. So make sure, guys, you come January the 12th. We have people that are actually coming in from out of town. They're coming. I actually have somebody flying in from North Carolina to come to this conference. So you're going to go to newyearnewyouLunch.com to get your ticket, newyearnewyouLunch.com to get your ticket. And Elam currently is traveling all across the country. We know this is going to be live all year long. And so look, all you need to do, guys, is make sure to go follow him on Instagram. He's always traveling. He will be in North Carolina. He will be in, of course, Georgia. He will be coming back here to Houston. So make sure you do stay plugged into him. So you do this thing called asking for a friend. So I have a question I want to ask you before we get ready to wrap this thing on up. And this was a question that you received in from someone. And so I'm going to ask it. And I would like you guys to also answer and also get what Elam's response is. It says, I'm a female entrepreneur and my husband is a labor worker. I make much more money than him, and it is affecting his self-esteem. How do I assure him that he is still king of our kingdom and I respect and love him even though he makes less money than me? Elam.
Woo, Lord. Well, I guess this kind of goes back to the insecurity piece that we were talking about earlier, right? So the bottom line is there's some levels of insecurities that exist in there. And ladies, I want to give you like a little secret in here, right? This is going to be for real, right? Particularly, I guess this lady, she is married, right? And so your husband is like another child in the home. Don't tell your husband I said that, okay? But that is real, right? He's like another kid in the house. And so there are certain pieces that maybe inherently that you might do from an encouragement perspective that you're thinking about for your children, but the big grown person, you're thinking, okay, I don't need to do that, okay? And so I want to share with you, stop thinking that, all right? There's some level of encouragement. I want to start off by saying that there's some reinforcement that needs to happen. Because the bottom line is the man feels insecure, right? So you want to make sure that you're adding some extra words of affirmation, or whether he's that love language or not, you want to make sure that you're adding that in there to help build up his confidence a little bit, right? I would also say that you might want to give him the opportunity or finesse the way to have him paying the bills, right? And so the reason why I said it is because even though you might make more, right? Think about it. If he takes his money and pays the majority to all the bills he can out of his, and you catch the extra, it's kind of like it makes him feel a certain type of way, right? It makes him feel maybe a little bit more manly. Now, all this might not apply for everybody, but there's a nugget in here that's going to apply for your particular man, right? So maybe you need to let him pay all the bills, right? And then you pick up the slack, right? There was a moment, raise his hand. I'm gonna tell you something that happened in my marriage. There was a moment where Michelle was making more than me earlier in the marriage, right? You know what she used to do when we would go out to eat? She would give me when we would be out to eat and we'll be other people there, she would give me her card before we sat down. So when time came to pay, guess what? I'm pulling out the card paying. And I felt like a little bit more of the man, even though, yeah, you could say we're all married and all the money's together. Yeah, that sounds right? But the visual piece of me pulling out the card and me paying made me feel differently and didn't make it seem like, everybody's looking like, dang, Shell got to pay all the bills or whatever case it be. So does that make sense? Sometimes we have to make a little extra step to make him feel a little bit more secure. And you could say, well, I shouldn't have to do all that. You're right. You should have picked that up in the single phase, because during your single phase, okay, you figured that out, but because his teeth were nice or because maybe the bedroom action was great, you went ahead and married him. Now you got an insecure man, right? So in order to work around that, you're gonna have to navigate around that. The single people, figure that out first and leave before you have to deal with this down the road, right? But or help build it there. But once you're married, I do want to encourage you ladies, there's a little bit more stepping up that you might have to do. And let's go to the last piece of that is ongoing. Again, let's go back to the counseling piece. But there's some pieces, maybe we need to talk some things out. Okay. Maybe there needs to be some one-on-one time between the counselor and that man to help increase that level of security within him. Okay. So those are the real fast versions of the asking for a friend.
Awesome. So look, anytime you have a question that you can ask as well, make sure that y'all stay connected to him, guys. I love the asking for a friend, and it's always really interesting to see everybody else's responses. A lot of times I'll chime in and add my little 2 cents. But thank you again, Elam, so much. We appreciate you for being here. Make sure you go to UAM, which stands for Understanding a Man, .New Year, New You online to schedule your session with him. Also, he is a part of the Facebook group too, so make sure you connect. Tomorrow, y'all, we have Becky A. Davis, who's going to be joining us. She is the founder of Bosspreneur, and I am one of the ambassadors with the Bosspreneur Business Circle. She's also part of a movement called I Support Her. Y'all, you don't want to miss it. Tomorrow, Becky's going to be talking to you guys about how to turn your knowledge into recurring revenue. She has an amazing story. I saw her just post her on her Instagram the other day about how she was in her deathbed and she made a decision, a conscious decision, that she was going to step out into her purpose. I think it was more than 10 years ago, left a 6-figure job. And this goes back to even what Elam was saying, make sure that whatever it is you're doing, it is purpose driven, because if it ain't purpose driven, that income, all that stuff, you're going to be tired. You're going to be worked out. And then look what happened. Her health was affected. And now fast forward to today, she has one of the fastest women business organizations that are growing. And she's been sponsored by, look, y'all make sure y'all be ready to ask her, how did she get Coca-Cola to sponsor her? Elam, we need to sponsor her on the HBCU tour. We got working on, right? But yeah, so she traveled all across the United States, y'all. Coca-Cola paid for her and some of her associates to travel all over and speak on HBCU campuses. All my authors out there, y'all want to know how to get some sponsorship to go on tour? Y'all need to be here tomorrow, okay? So anyways, we're about to jump off, y'all, and log right back into the Facebook group, and we're going to be making some announcements for the next winner. All right. It has been a privilege and a pleasure. Remember, vision is the art of seeing what's invisible to others. So don't allow people who do not see what you see to break your focus. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, don't you look left. Don't you look right. Only stay focused forward on what God has for you. And at the end of the day, darlings, all will be well.
All right.
Yeah.